Hello ENC students, this is your professor Michael Bloomingberg, and what I'm looking to do with this video is to clear up some of the confusion you have about the source paper and MLA documentation in particular. After reading the recent Blackboard discussion assignment that you posted on the discussion board about MLA, it seems that there's a lot of confusion, so I'm hoping with this video that I'll be able to walk you through what MLA is, how it works, and how to be successful on your paper. So although I'm on the Blackboard page, I'm going to pull up a document that I've started for the source paper, and feel free to take some notes as you review this video. You might find it helpful in understanding the MLA as well as the particulars of the source paper. So what I'm looking for is a 2 to 3 page paper. And we use the term source paper, but what we're really indicating is research. So where does the research come from? It comes from 3 required sources. Now, 2 of the 3 sources will come from the database. And the database that we're talking about here is Opposing Viewpoints. And so hopefully you've had a chance at this point to review the database and get your sources together. One of the 3 sources comes from the book Picking Cotton, which has been our primary book that we've been using throughout the semester. Now with these 3 sources, best way to think about this is to use a quote from each source so that you quote directly, put that in your paper, and that you document it using Works Cited. And this is going to be a longer video, I'll warn you, because I want to walk through the MLA, show you how it works and what MLA is all about, and don't forget about the other videos that I posted in the other folder. I posted a video related to in-text and Works Cited, but I'm hoping that I can explain this in a straightforward way to where it'll make sense. But this is the criteria from which you're working on your paper. The only other thing I would add is that the paper must be persuasive. So remember that you're trying to convince your reader of something related to a topic in society and culture in the Opposing Viewpoints database. And so I'll walk you through it. So I'm going to go back, and maybe the jumping on point is to go into Opposing Viewpoints. So I'll click on Academics. I'll click on Learning Commons. I will click on Databases, and I will click on Opposing Viewpoints. Of course, you have to put in your username and password. As faculty, it'll take me right in. I'm in the database now, so I'll go to Society and Culture, click View All. And remember that your topic has to tie in some way to Picking Cotton. So I'm just going to pick one that I think will fit pretty well. I'll just pick racial profiling. Okay. So I'm going to come back to this in just a second. I'm going to go back to my Word document. And I'm going to space down, and I'm going to explain this in what I think is the best way that I can, and that's not it. I'm actually going to insert a shape is what I wanted to do. So I'm going to insert a circle here. And I'm going to make this kind of bigger so that hopefully you can see it well in the video. Okay. And inside of this circle, we're going to put research, and this is going to explain how MLA works. So I want you to picture this circle as a constantly moving circle. Like I'm going to move my cursor around and around just to demonstrate that this is how fast the circle works. Each and every day across the world, people are adding to research in different areas. And so what you are doing in this paper and how MLA works is you're dipping your hand into this circle to pull out information that will support your point of view. So I'm going to go back to the shapes, And let's just pretend that this line represents you dipping into the circle. So this is general research like the database. You're dipping into it, and you're dipping into it in order to give support to your paper. So you're taking from the circle, putting it into your paper, which is what this side circle represents. And then the really cool thing is, if I can explain this, what the MLA allows you to do is to put your paper, if I can make these lines all connect, that would be great. There we go. Then you put your paper back into the circle and it moves, and then somewhere down the road someone could pull your paper out of the circle and use it for their paper. So it's a constantly moving research circle. And MLA is just a way for you to handle information in the circle responsibly so that you're not plagiarizing. So I hope that makes sense. And I didn't understand this at first. Like, I didn't understand the purpose of MLA until somebody actually took the time to explain it to me. So hopefully, we'll just move that to the side, but hopefully that makes sense. So with MLA, which by the way stands for Modern Language Association, what you have to do is document in two ways, and the first way is in-text citation. And I want to give you an example of that. Remember that you are required to use 2 database sources in picking cotton. Let me go back to the database for just a minute, and I'm just going to click on the first article that I see here. And let's just say that you are picking a quote out from this article. And what I'm going to do is just use this as an example. So I've taken this straight from the article. I have to blow it up and just so we can see it a little bit and have something to work with. Okay, so you're writing your paper and you use this quote, and anytime you use it straight from the source, you have to put quotation marks around it just so that it makes sense. And what you have to do then is use your parentheses for your in-text citation. Quotations around it just means it comes word for word from the source. And so what belongs in the parentheses is the author's last name and page number. So in these database sources, I can look down and see that my author is Benjamin Cardin, so we need the author's last name, which is right here. It's Cardin, so I'm going to plug that in. And now, if we were using Picking Cotton, we would have the page number to go by. But since we are using a database source, the problem that you're going to run into is that there are no page numbers given in these kinds of articles. So what MLA says we have to do is actually count the paragraphs and use that. So it goes 1, 2, 3. We're actually counting them. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Going down. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So it's paragraph 14. So go back up, put PAR period 14. Move your period. Notice the period goes after the parenthesis. That's important because it ends the citation. Now, I put paragraph number because no page number was given, but if a page number is given, such as in Picking Cotton, you don't have to put a PAR or anything. It would just be the straight page number, if that makes sense. The other thing is, sometimes it's good to give what's called a signal phrase to set up your quote, because we humans are naturally curious people. So you could put according to, what was his name again? I think it was Ben Cardin, yeah, Benjamin Cardin, and then come in with your quote again, then do it that way. And if you did it that way, you just need the PAR 14 because you have identified your author by name leading up to the quote. And I do recommend you do that because that will add clarity to the quote before you give it. We humans are naturally curious. We want to know where information comes from. So I think it'll be helpful in that way. And that's your in-text citation. Now I'm going to take the circles out just because I think we've demonstrated everything that we needed to with that. So if I can do that, that would be great. Just looking to free up our page here. Well, it's not letting me delete that one for some reason. Alright, well, let's see if I can just delete the text. Maybe that'll let me do it. It's still not. Okay. We'll just move it away and get it out of the way in that case. But what I want to show you next is works cited. So the whole idea behind the in-text is to direct the reader to the last page of your paper. Because if I can see Carden 14, I can know to flip to the last page and what you want to do on your last page. And I'm going to center this. And actually, I'm going to come down just so we can get everything in clear view here. And I'm going to come down, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to center it and call it works cited, and we need to set it up just like that. And so the idea behind it is to refer the reader, when you use a quote in text, to the last page, so that if that person wanted to go out and actually find the information, they could do that. The cool thing about the database sources is the information is all provided for you at the end, so really all you've got to do is copy and paste your information in. Now when I do that, just a couple things. The font is different, so I've got to fix that. Of course, you know to use 12 point Times New Roman font, but I'm using bigger font for teaching purposes so that it's clear. And actually I might shrink that down just so that's a little bit too big. I'll use that. And I want to make sure the title matches up, so I'll shrink it up. Okay, so far so good. But the other thing I need to do is create something called a hanging indent, because these entries are not arranged by numbering or bullet. They're arranged alphabetically by the author's last name, so Carden, for example. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight it. Up in the corner there's a little arrow box for paragraph. I'm going to click that. That's going to bring up a new window. And under indentation and special, I'm going to click it and I'm going to put in hanging. When I do, it's going to shift these lines over, and that's exactly the way I want it to do, because that will allow me to visually see where one source ends and the next begins. And the other thing I wanted to show you is just how to set up picking cotton. Well, I tell you what, I'm not going to show that. I'm going to challenge you to see if you can figure out how to do it. But I am going to give you some direction for it. I go back here and I'm going to go to something a little bit different. I never can remember the address, so I'm going to type in Purdue Al. And if you're not familiar with this website, it's from the University of Purdue, which is a university in the state of Indiana. And AL is an acronym. It stands for Online Writing Lab. But you can click on their MLA formatting style, and it gives you the general information for just a straightforward author for works cited. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste this over. I'm going to make sure that I have it right, and I don't, because said starts with an S, so I need to move it down because it's again alphabetical by the author's last name. So I'm going to paste that back in. And I'm going to work on my font there. Make sure that it's even, and that's pretty good. I'm not sure why the name is like that. Probably something to do with where I copied and pasted it over. But I want you to practice and see this week if you can put together, there doesn't need to be any space there, any real dead space. There we go. But this is author's last name, comma, first name. The title, and in the case of your book, it'd be Picking Cotton in italics with a period. The publisher, I'm going to give you a hint. You can find that at the front of your book, followed by a comma. And the year of publication, you're going to find that on the copyright page again in the front. See if you could figure that out for Picking Cotton, and if not, we can do some continued work with this next week. But just to refresh, the in-text, you're using 3 quotes, 1 from each source, 2 from a database source, 1 from Picking Cotton. These should be good sources, good quotes that you're using to support your point of view. That's the time-consuming part. And then when that appears actually in your paper, like we've got here in the example, that can automatically direct your reader to the last page, which is the works cited, and that's where we'll find the full bibliographic listing of a source. And if I want it to go and actually track down your source, I could do that. And again, it relates to the research circle, because a lot of times when you find information, you want to see where that person found their information. And that's what makes MLA so cool, is that we can actually go in and find it. So hopefully that makes sense. MLA is one of those things that you have to work with to really get comfortable. The more you work with it, the more comfortable you'll get. But the biggest thing is the documentation is in the Purdue OWL. I'm going to go ahead and link that for you in this week's folder, so that if you want to go in and check it out, you can. But as far as your discussion board assignment goes, I want to take a look at that real fast. Okay, I'm going to go to the week 13 folder and click on the discussion board. Okay. And so what I wanted you to do is just, once you've reviewed this video, do you understand what you need to do in the source paper? Does MLA make any better sense now? And what, if anything, are things that you may still be confused about? If you want to talk about your biggest challenges in the paper, that would be great. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking to try to help you guys understand it a little better. And hopefully this video has been somewhat helpful. Don't forget about the other videos as well that I've already posted in the previous week folder. But just let me know. Email me. Ask questions if you have them. If you've worked with MLA before, that'll be a definite bonus. But if you've never had, it's something that you can still work with. Just think that it's all about the circle and finding research. So you use your quotes in text, and then when you get to the works cited, you got to put the full bibliographic listing. And for the database sources, it's just copying and pasting that info. But you will have to document using the sample here. And you can find other samples in the Purdue OWL to do that for your Picking Cotton book. I think that's it, guys. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know. I look forward to reading your discussion board postings this week. Take care and good luck.